Ayo, and what is up, gang? Thank you once again for joining us here on the channel tonight for our August the 8th, 2017 review of the WWE's Smackdown Live, coming to us from Toronto, Canada, and we are here to talk about all of it right here and right now on the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. Let's do it.
The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
Alright, wrestling fans, what is up? Welcome back once again. Thank you for joining us here on the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, right here on Sledgehammer TV. I am your host, Nick Nightmare. We are here tonight to talk about Smackdown Live. And Smackdown Live, much like yesterday's Monday Night Raw, was just okay. I have a few big problems with a couple of things that went down tonight, but there were a few shining moments that we are definitely going to go over tonight. This, don't forget, is the World Heavyweight Champion of Microphones, Blue the Snowball. Don't forget to say hello to him down in the comments section below. He welcomes all interaction from all you wonderful wrestling fans. And let's get right down to the nitty-gritty. Smackdown Live, in a nutshell, was just another in a long line of long and kind of drabby shows from the WWE. We had a few standout segments, starting off with the beginning of the show, where we had John Cena, fresh off of his loss to Shinsuke Nakamura and subsequent beatdown of Baron Corbin last week on Smackdown Live. And he was pretty much in the ring just putting over Shinsuke Nakamura. And he was being his old John Cena self. He had a lot of swag going with him. He talked a little hip-hop in his voice. And, you know, it was fun. It was a nice segment. I enjoyed it. Baron Corbin would then come out, and they had a nice little interaction between the two of them before Daniel Bryan would come out and make a match for them, which I thought was going to happen tonight on SmackDown Live, but he booked this match for SummerSlam. Now, there is the problem. I enjoyed the segment all the way up until then. This is an unnecessary match for SummerSlam. John Cena is not needed on the card. Baron Corbin should be kept off the card so that he is always looming in the shadows in the background like the lone wolf that he is, just waiting for his moment to pounce and take the championship from whoever it is. It would lead much more intrigue into it. It's not that they can't do it, because they can still do it even if Baron Corbin does face John Cena that night. But how good is it going to look if he goes on to face and lose to John Cena at SummerSlam, which is almost an inevitability, only to go on that night to cash in and take the title off of a Shinsuke Nakamura, or hopefully Jinder Mahal before he gets to Shinsuke Nakamura, or however they're deciding to do it. I'm very confused about how this whole thing is going to go down. Shinsuke Nakamura being placed as the number one contender right now threw a wrench into everything, and I'm not really sure where they're going with this whole thing. All in all, the segment was good. It was a nice way to kick off the show. I did not like the addition of the match to SummerSlam, but we have to live with their decisions as always, and we just have to move on as they did with the show. And we had a fantastic tag team match, as is something I've become accustomed to saying when we are seeing the Usos on the screen. Was a great match between the newly formed team of Sami Zayn and Ty Dillinger. Now, this pairing couldn't be more beneficial for either one of these two guys. Here are two respected and loved fan favorite NXT alumni who have been placed on this roster in positions to fail. And in a lackluster tag division, by taking these two talents and making them into a team consecutively now 2 weeks in a row, I can get behind this. This is something that they got to stick with and allow to really gel, because Sami and Ty definitely have chemistry. They work very well together as a tag team. I like what I'm seeing with this team, and I hope that they give them a name, something not stupid, not some bad theme music. Give them something awesome, or just combine the two as they've been known to do, even though it probably won't sound too good. Sami's and Ty's fucking themes would probably be just a mishmash of headache. But this is a team that has great potential, and it showed in this match tonight. This match tonight was fucking fantastic. Let's read the official review here. With their chance to regain the SmackDown Tag Team Championship against the New Day at SummerSlam less than 2 weeks away, the Usos took on the formidable pair of Canadian countrymen Sami Zayn and Ty Dillinger on SmackDown Live. Ty, not Tyne. I did not mean to say Tyne. Not Tyne Daly. Ty fucking Dillinger. Zayn and Dillinger put Jimmy and Jay back on their heels when Zayn launched himself over the top rope onto both of his adversaries, but the Usos prevailed after ruthlessly targeting the Perfect 10's knee, which led to Jimmy locking Dillinger in the Tequila Sunrise submission hold for the tap-out win. Another interesting thing that would happen here would be after the match, as Jimmy and Jay got on the microphone and began to call out the New Day, who seemingly were sidelined after the Usos attacked and were not believed to be in attendance that night. But Big E would then hit the scene and do his "Oh, Toronto! Don't you dare be sour" and all that shit. And then misdirection is the key, as Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston, I almost forgot his name there, would rush the ring and blindside the Usos, and definitely showed a bit of aggression that we have not seen from the New Day in a while. It was a little bit refreshing to see this from the New Day, although I am not interested in how they went about things. This would be infinitely more interesting if they never took the titles off the Usos and they have retained their championship throughout this, crowning the New Day as the champions once again at SummerSlam, which would have been a great moment for their team. And if you really wanted to do this New Day thing, which I don't agree with to begin with, they don't need the titles at this point. We could be putting it on other teams and letting them establish themselves and establish a division before we start hopping titles around. But I was fine with it. I'm just ready to see where they're going with it at SummerSlam. Hopefully the reason they took it off the Usos was so that they can give it back to the Usos, and maybe the Usos will be the ones getting a nice big SummerSlam moment in Brooklyn just a few weeks away. This next segment, the women's segment for tonight, holy shit. Charlotte Flair defeats Lana. Now there's a fucking surprise. Listen, this match, after Lana last week informed Tamina that she wanted to be just like her, which I think is fucking ridiculous, only more charismatic and more beautiful and ravishing, so she had to give her a little jab in there as well, because that's the Lana character. Tamina's protege competed and challenged against Charlotte Flair on tonight's edition of SmackDown Live. Unfortunately, the results were less than stellar for the ravishing Russian, as Charlotte used her size and ring savvy to overpower Lana for most of the match. The Queen finished off Lana after dropping her with a devastating kick to the head and trapping her in the figure 8 leg lock for the submission victory. That is not the story about this match, and neither is how terrible Lana is in the ring. I don't understand all this hype that I heard when she was wrestling dark matches in NXT and how great Lana is. Lana just looks horrible. When she gets hit, she looks like she's just flailing like a friggin' puppet. Every time she took a chop, it was just fucking horrible. She's a beautiful lady, but she can't wrestle. And that's not going to fly with this guy. But that still is not the story. Lana's terrible wrestling ability is not the story. The story of this match, and what made it absolutely very entertaining, although I am absolutely ashamed at you guys in Toronto, because there was a spot in this match where Lana would pull Charlotte's tights down. And we all got a nice little view of Charlotte's backside. Now, the crowd in Toronto, which is always very awesome, would take it upon themselves to start thanking Lana for doing this. Now, normally, if you were talking about any other female on the roster, I would be thanking Lana too. Thank you for letting me see the ass of Sasha Banks, or Becky, or Alexa, or friggin' Asuka, anybody. But Charlotte, this... And I don't mean to sound mean, but face the facts, people. We don't sugarcoat shit here on the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. out of all the asses in the women's division, the one that you wouldn't want to see is Charlotte's. She has got the worst ass of them all. She's got her father's ass, but not her father's ass when he was like in his prime and had a nice little plump backside probably and kept it tight doing his glute exercises and humping all those broads back in the day. She's got like his ass now, which is, again, I don't mean to come off mean, and I'm not meaning to down the girl, but, thanks, but no thanks, Lana. You didn't do anybody any favors. The only time we should be thanking Lana is when she decides to go back to Rusev and manage where she's supposed to. Or better yet, when she decides to leave Rusev altogether and go start to do porn. Because then you could all say thank you to Lana because we could all get to see her in her, the way most of us red-blooded American men would like to see the females that are attractive. We want to see them naked and doing nasty things. And that's just the way it is. I'm sorry, ladies. That's how men are, and that's the way it is. And that's the only time you should thank Lana. Thank you for showing me your boobies. Thank you for being dirty and letting me watch you do dirty things. That would be the only appropriate time to thank Lana. I'm sorry. Otherwise, you didn't do anybody any favors by showing the world the worst ass in the women's division. Let's move along from that. Shane McMahon announces his rules of engagement. This segment was not about Shane McMahon. I mean, essentially it was. Kevin Owens and AJ Styles were essentially arguing over whether or not they were concerned over Shane McMahon being the referee. Kevin Owens bringing some excellent film footage to highlight reasons why AJ Styles should not trust Shane McMahon. Also pointing out the fact that he doesn't worry about it because the McMahons have already screwed over a Canadian once and they know better than to do it again because they don't want to deal with that bad public relations nightmare that it would be. Kevin Owens was fucking electric, absolute fantastic on the mic. Everything these guys did tonight was great. AJ seemed a little shaky at first, but he pulled himself together and we had a fantastic exchange back and forth between these two, arguing over Shane McMahon being the referee. In the end, Shane promises that he will be impartial and that he will call this thing down the line. And then we get a shoving match between AJ and Kevin Owens, to which Shane McMahon would try to calm things down and get between the two guys, only to end up eating a Pele kick to the head from the Phenomenal One. And we can only hope that this does not lead to any shenanigans. And Kevin Owens thought it was amusing as he was backing away and giggling down the aisle because he accomplished his mission. Absolutely. Back to the ladies. Carmella, the Money in the Bank, history-making first ever female Money in the Bank winner, would go one-on-one against the champion and would beat the champion tonight. Thanks to the return of the most worthless manager of all time, James Ellsworth, the chinless wonder, Mr. Turtleface, is back. Much to the delight of us all. We couldn't wait to have him fucking come back, could we? I was actually starting to get behind Carmella without this little fucking worm behind her, but his return now makes her, again, much more nauseating and much more cringe, and their whole little exchange tonight in the back with Natalya was just very, very bad acting. Very bad. And it makes my stomach turn, and I hate James Ellsworth now. I didn't mind him in the beginning, but I think he's worn out his welcome, and with them not advancing this character at all, or getting him away from Carmella, or doing something different with him, it's just become stale and boring, and I don't want to see it anymore, and it's just fucking stupid. But Carmella would end up getting the win over Naomi after a super kick to the jaw, and there was no reason for this. You had your women's champion lose 2 weeks out from SummerSlam. Typical WWE nonsensical booking. I had a very big problem with everything that's happened in the women's division all fucking week long, even including what they did last night on Raw. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check out the review. It is up. It is live right now for you to check out after you watch SmackDown. If you missed the Raw review, go check it out. You see what I have to say about the women's division as a whole, because it's an absolute fucking disaster. A disaster. we would have the main event of the evening. Randy fucking Orton versus Jinder Mahal. And I thought this was over after the Punjabi shit match. Okay? And once again, just like you did with Naomi, you had Randy Orton cleanly defeat your World Heavyweight Champion. This guy that you've been pushing so hard down our throats, just a short 10 days, 13 days away from SummerSlam, and you have your world title, your World Heavyweight Champion, being pinned cleanly by the guy he's been beating over and over again thanks to the help of the Singh midgets and the giant fucking Khali. And now you've only proven everything that everybody said was that he can't win without help. If there was ever a time for you to have Jinder Mahal beat Randy Orton, tonight was the night. You are having him go into a match with a man the likes of Shinsuke Nakamura, who should not be taken lightly, and you are only making it even more predictable. Because if he can't beat Randy Orton without help, how can he even think he has a chance against the likes of Shinsuke Nakamura? It's an absolute farce. It's a fucking stupid way to book, and I don't understand it. What is the reason to give Randy Orton momentum here? You give him the win, and then in probably the second most interesting thing to happen all night long, as far as wrestling is concerned, you have Rusev come out and attack Randy Orton as he's celebrating his way up the ramp, and then you go off air. And then me, foolishly, I run to the network thinking they'd be smart enough to use it like they did last week with Baron Corbin and John Cena, but there's no John Cena involved, so we don't have to have it live and shown on the network. Only to have 205 Live being played, and I have no idea what happened. And surely they're saving it for Talking Smack, which we did not watch just yet because it is actually just now starting, and we'll probably go and check it out when we're done with this review here. But all in all, what's the point? What was the point of that ending? To show it on WWE.com exclusive? You're going to have it up on YouTube, or you didn't use your network the way you should? Which is one of the reasons why it's failing, because you don't use it in moments like this. When smart fans who own the network like me go, oh my god, something is going on after the show is off the air, where would they show this? Where could I see this? Where should I be able to see this? On the network I pay for. But it's not there. Let's not go too far off on the tangent there. But what was the point? What was the point of Randy Orton winning? Does he need momentum to face Rusev in a one-on-one match that means nothing at SummerSlam? Why? Not that I'm an advocate for Jinder Mahal in any way. And Jinder Mahal was over as fuck tonight, not because he's made some sort of a breakthrough, but because he's from Canada. I've said this many times. The guy's playing a guy from India, but he's actually Canadian. So the Canadian fans naturally gravitated to one of their own, which is why we had chants for Jinder all night, why he was well received at the end of tonight's SmackDown when he was coming out. And it's just ridiculous. The people on Twitter, some of them are just so stupid. Oh, why is he getting cheered now? Are people getting behind him? No. When you're in your hometown, you get cheered. And that's the bottom line. Not because Stone Cold said so, but because it's just the way it is. Are you going to cheer from a guy that's from your neighborhood? Certainly I am. Come on. It's a simple 101 of wrestling. You cheer for your hometown guy. Just like you, more than likely, you normally cheer for your hometown team. Some people choose to not, but that's a personal preference kind of thing. And that, all in all, was all your wrestling stuff for tonight. But by and large, the most entertaining segment of the night goes to Tyler Breeze and Fandango. Once again, they are on a fucking winning streak, as the only real reason you should be watching SmackDown Live is to see what has been going on with these two. It is absolute fucking madness. To even try to cover it for you, I wouldn't be able to make sense of it. But the key moment of tonight's episode of Fashion Peaks is when Fandango would show up as if he'd never left and act like everything's just fine. He's got a necktie tied around his head like a fucking goof. And, Breezy's like, where you been? He's like, oh, aliens. Aliens? Aliens. Yeah, aliens. And they just left it at that. Aliens fucking took Tyler Breeze. And they ended up finding out that the abductor and murderer of Tully the Horse was none other than the enforcer Arn Anderson, who destroyed their horse not because it's mocking his best friend, Tully Blanchard of the Four Horsemen, but because they did not choose to name their horse Arn after him when he was the true workhorse of the Four Horsemen. And then, because when he entered the room, Arn Anderson asked if this was catering, so obviously the man was hungry. And then when he left, he said, "Yeah, I broke your horse," and he grabbed 2 donuts off the table and he's like, "I'm taking these," and then he fucking walked out. And it is now to be continued. We're still gonna go on with this, which is fucking great, and it was so fucking funny. I could do it absolutely no justice. If you missed it, you gotta go watch it. If you've seen it, go watch it again, because you know it's fucking worth a second look, because these guys have been absolutely great. And I have said many, 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 many times on this channel since this whole Fashion Police gimmick has debuted, that this whole thing would be made so much better if Tyler Breeze and Fandango were given matches and were allowed to be the wrestlers that they actually are, and put on the 5-star matches that they are absolutely capable of having with tag teams like the Usos and the New Day, and even going as far as to say maybe the Revival and any of the other tag teams in the division would serve well to face a team with the talent that these guys possess in the ring. It's almost like it's being wasted. If it wasn't so fucking entertaining, I would tell you they are being wasted. But they are getting themselves over in spite of not being allowed to wrestle, which is a great thing to do. But imagine how much bigger it would be if they went out there and were really wrestling, not going out there and in the middle of their match dressing up like grandmas and playing with the crowd and Fandango dancing and doing stupid shit, but wrestling, kicking ass, pinning people to the mat, winning fucking matches, and then going off and having these goofy adventures backstage. Much like Edge and Christian back in the day. They would go out there, they're beating people, they're having historic TLC matches, they're putting asses in the seats, they are delivering top-notch match after top-notch match, and in the back they're playing kazoos with fucking Kurt Angle. And they're playing around with Rhino. And they're making absolute fucking jerks out of themselves, wearing giant cowboy hats and shit. But when they got in the ring, you knew Edge and Christian didn't fucking play games. And that's the angle they should be going with this team. But they're not. That is my only complaint about the whole thing. Otherwise, please, please, give me more Fashion Police. And that is going to be the end of it. Anything that I missed? Because last night I did miss one thing on the Monday Night Raw review. We forgot to talk about Enzo and Cass and the Big Show. And that's probably because I'm trying to erase it from my mind. I'm just done with it. You know, Enzo and Cass, it's over. But Enzo and the Big Show, maybe in another time and place, maybe would work. But coming off his teaming with Cass, I don't want to see this again. And it's not working. Especially with the Big Show. Nobody wants to see him wrestle anymore. He's coming to the end of his contract. Everybody knows it. And we're just all waiting for him to walk away. So we could all say goodbye, say thank you, Big Show, for all the years of whatever you've done these last few years. But he has made history, and he's worth a few applause. But it's time for him to go away. And Enzo should be moved to either NXT or 205 Live. We will continue to say that on the show until it actually happens. Because that would be the best for him. And just get him away from Cass altogether, because it's not working. Nobody cares. There's no way you're going to make me believe that Enzo can even stand a chance against Cass without somebody backing him up. So let's just move away from the whole thing. So we didn't talk about it because I forgot. And because it wasn't really worth talking about. So if I forgot anything tonight, please feel free to let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining us. Do not forget, if you have not already joined this show's family and the network of fans that I call my Sledgeheads, I want you guys to hit that subscribe button, smash that thumbs up for me, and let me know that you like the show and that you like what we're doing here. Also, a little plug coming up here. We have got a major announcement coming on the show next Monday. Do not forget to keep your eyes peeled and keep your ears alert for that ding in the notifications when you hear it, when we go live with a very special episode of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show that you will not want to miss, containing a very, very big major announcement that if you live in and around the New York City area, you are definitely not going to want to miss what I have to say. Please make sure you check that out. Also, we are going to have the return of Give Me 5, an all-new NXT-themed Give Me 5, coming up alongside Brooklyn Takeover 3, and we got SummerSlam coming up. We're going to have previews and predictions. This channel is going to be booming. Fucking booming, you guys, with new content as SummerSlam vastly approaches, and we are getting ready to go through it all for you guys and with you guys. So thank you so much. That's going to do it. We are out of here. Thank you so much for watching the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. For Blue the Snowball Microphone, I am Nick Nightmare. You guys rock, and we'll see you next time right here on the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. Have a good one, gang.